Hey everybody, it's Vishali. In my 2 decades as a corporate leader and mentor, I've had the privilege of standing up so many working professionals to be effective and happy in all they do. And those people have gone on to inspire and stand up even more people to be successful in their own lives. And that is the kind of karmic replay I love to see. This short talk teaches you how your self-awareness fuels how effectively you self-construct throughout your life. And self-construction is a lifelong project. You may be one of those millions of people who've become dead serious about how things don't align with their value system. You know, those things that are causing so many of us to feel negative emotions or fall into unhealthy patterns. People in general have become far more aware about what they want their daily experience to look like, and they're willing to invest time and money into making that shift. That level of clarity is a very good thing. You can't change what you don't know. The Buddhist faith has these 12 beautiful laws of karma. Check them out sometime. I use them every day to make observations and decide how to respond. But that is a different talk for a different day. One of those laws is called the law of chance, which says that history will repeat itself unless you learn your lessons and change your life. I don't know whether it was the pandemic or whatever, but this is what people are now waking up to. What do I care about the most? And how do I self-construct in that direction? And you know what else? People don't want their kids having to go through the same experiences that they are having too late in the game. Whether you're one of those people or not, this short talk will show you how to become aware of yourself so you can align with what you value the most. If you've ever been told that you need to be more self-aware and don't know what that really means, this is the start of that journey. Self-aware people are listened to. They influence with ease. They have clarity on their strengths and their areas of development. And they never stop that journey of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the first step to taking charge of anything in life. It is the first step to self-construction. So here are 3 things you can start to do today to build self-awareness as a practice. Number 1. Learn to observe yourself in different interactions and situations and embrace the idea of putting yourself in very diverse, unfamiliar situations. These could be conversations, decision points, failures, successes. People who want to build self-awareness make notes about themselves in tough conversations, and they reflect on these experiences 1, 2, 3 days later. Time is a beautiful thing. They reflect on how they can make tough decisions, how long it took them, what approach did they take, how many people did they influence, the feelings that they had when they were making those decisions. Let me give you one of my own examples. I remember the first time I was let go from a job and was given no reason for it at all. The weight of that failure or perceived failure was so heavy that I did not sleep for weeks. I sought answers where there were none. I was paralyzed by self-analysis. Even when my next and better opportunity fell in my own lap 3 weeks later, with no effort on my part, the perceived shame continued. What's more is I carried the paranoia of all these self-made reasons for failure into that new opportunity. It was important for me to learn how I perceived the failure as being my personal failure. I expended all my energy on taking responsibility for that failure when I could have swiftly turned my focus on what I learned and what I control. Now, through close observation of my responses to failure, I have changed my perception of failure. And that has had a profound impact on what I choose to label as failure and how I embrace what it brings. You can start off observing in retrospect, but in practice, you will habitually start to observe in the experience. Number 2, get super clear about what calms you and inspires you versus makes you feel uneasy, stressed, angry, resentful, insecure, disconnected. These could be people, places, activities, situations. People who practice self-awareness are very attuned to the certain environments that invoke positivity or negativity within them. And they do that accepting that they don't always get to choose their environments. So they focus on adapting their behavior or responses, recognizing how their environment may work for or against them. Whether it's a challenging workplace setting or a personal relationship that can never hold a productive conversation, observe what traits you show consistently when in that workplace or in that conversation, and what is it about that workplace or person that triggers you in a good or a bad way. When you do this every day, you learn what and whom brings the best in you. Know this and leverage that wisdom. For example, I learned that I'm best when I'm with people, for people, in front of people. And I was never cut out to be doing repetitive tasks behind a desk, to work in isolation for long periods of time and take too much instruction. I found that this drained my creativity and it did not inspire me. I have based a lot of my career and personal decisions by being self-aware of the environments or roles that I thrive best in. Number 3, identify the inner voices that trigger good or adverse responses in you. Now, number 2 was about external factors that make you feel a certain way. But number 3 is about being aware of the factors from your past that have molded you and conditioned you to behave in a certain way, often without you even knowing it. Some of that started at birth, some of it appeared in our student experience, some appeared from personal and professional experiences recently. These can be positive or negative, and they can enlighten you or they can diminish you. The trouble begins when you don't know that they continue to prevail in your daily life today and how they skew your perception of what is really happening. So here becomes super clear about 2 parts of you. Where do you play from a position of strength? And where do you have some work to do in terms of self-development? When we talk about your strengths, think about what you think you do best. Where do you shine the most? Where do you have the most confidence? When are you in control? Where do you laugh the most? Where are you inspired the most? Who do you trust the most? When we talk about your areas of development, think about what you believe you don't excel in. These could be genuine gaps in your qualifications and abilities that you need to close with some education, or they could be limited beliefs created earlier in your life by being consistently exposed and affected by what others think and say about you. It would also be useful to take these things in front of a handful of people you trust and have known you for a while. Get some validation or confirmation, but remain balanced about receiving diametric opinions. One of my best examples of this is how after 20 years of my corporate career leading people and teams successfully through global transformations in 8 different verticals and making so many people feel they are successful, I was recently told, based on one incident, that I am a compassionate and committed leader, but I'm not authentic. Think about that. Sounds like I'm kind and empathetic and I'm not a quitter, but I'm not real. I don't think I've ever gotten tested harder about my belief in my natural servant leadership style, which is to lead people authentically and empathetically. I could have taken that very personally, but instead I evaluated my context. I stood firm on my strong legacy of leading so many people through change, and I did not get destabilized by a couple people's opinion. I observed where they may be coming from, I gave it a nod, and then I decided that is not me. So here's the deal. A daily self-awareness practice requires you first take charge of your own feelings, thoughts, and responses, all of them. Only you can affect the change in your behaviors and thought patterns. If you like what you heard here, I think you will really enjoy the 2 other experiential videos I've got on mindful self-observation and self-awareness. What if I told you right now that you alone inside yourself have everything you need to take responsibility for these things and their outcome? You are in complete control. That is what happens when your self-awareness practice starts to guide your path of self-construction. It's immensely liberating to know that you are not depending on other people to uncover your own potential, to change yourself and your own circumstance. If what I just said resonates with you and you'd like to talk more about it, together we can help you become more self-aware. And that will help you become even more courageous and empowered. You'll be able to take control of fear, anger, and emotional swings. You'll understand how to make impactful decisions and communicate them. And you will be able to define the values that you really want to live by. I invite you to book a free session with me at bookmeetandvia.com.